Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory Podcast with your host, TheBagelz,
Hello!
and Taylor-B. That's me. Hello. And a very special guest with us tonight, Orchid, mother of otters.
Hello. Hello. Thank
Hello.
you for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you here. Great to have you on the show. Last time Orchid and I were on a show together, there were like 9 of us, and it was kind of a
Oh
big
my
deal.
God. It was so chaotic.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried our best. We really did. And then we had to edit around somebody because their recording failed. And
Oh yeah. We won't say
yeah,
who.
no, it's going to remain a mystery. Well, you don't know because we didn't say who it was.
The Bagels. We won't say who. The
I'm holding my
Bagels.
breath. Don't look at me.
Uh-huh.
The Bagels is holding his breath for different reasons. It's okay. There's no.
Oh no. I'm worried.
No. It's this thing he does for attention. Don't worry.
Okay.
He just wants to.
So he's like a small child, is what you're telling me.
Yes, this is exactly what I
Okay.
am.
Just picture you standing in the corner with your face blue because you want attention. I'm just gonna go, nope.
Taylor consistently puts me in timeout.
Face is blue with constant stream of eye daggers coming out though.
Oh no. Eye daggers. That
Eye
worries me
daggers.
a little bit.
Yeah, that's his one power.
Oh, is it like a blade barrage kind of eye daggers? Or is it like
No.
a throwing knife kind of eye daggers?
They
It's
travel
like-
about 2 feet before they just crash into the ground, so they're
Oh.
not very effective.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
there's sucky eye daggers.
Yeah. It's a
Alright.
bargain bin superpower.
But
Oh,
when they
no.
hit the ground, fireworks.
Yeah.
Wait,
it's
what
true.
kind of fireworks? Like big fireworks or like the worm that like you set the thing on fire and it just
Snakes and
like
sparklers.
grows a weird
It's
curly wiener
it's
and then
just-
it just dies.
Yeah, it's just all snakes and sparklers. Those are the only fireworks that Bagels likes. he only
Wronged
enjoys
you when you were a child.
snakes and sparklers, and so that's all
God.
you'll find at his fireworks stand, a la Joe Dirt. Just
I mean, hilarious that you're talking about fireworks since like the 4th of July is this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Being here in DC, I don't live too far from the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already changing traffic patterns. And I'm like,
Oh,
guys,
no.
you can box me in as much as you want. I'm not going. You
Yeah,
can
that's gonna be
compartmentalize this
weird.
as much as you want. Like, I'm not walking over there to be with a bunch of other people for the fireworks. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stand right next to anybody.
Yeah, I'll be in wave 4 fireworks. That's where I'll be.
I told myself that I was going to watch the fireworks on TV, and then I realized I don't have TV. I just have an Xbox, so I'll just play Destiny.
I'll make my own fireworks.
I'll make my own fireworks. I'll just use mountaintop and shoot the ground a lot. And see what happens.
I'm just gonna watch Thor
God.
Ragnarok, and I'm just gonna keep rewinding on this scene where he does sparkles from his fingers.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
He's gonna be constant like he does it, and then Jeff Goldblum will be like, were those sparks? Sparkles? And then just rewind. That's
And just rewind it.
for like 3
like-
hours.
Oh God,
That's commitment.
but that's
Well, I
way
gotta-
more. Yeah.
I gotta fill up the national mall fireworks show slot somehow.
Oh jeez.
That's how I'm choosing to do it. Other people might have other methods.
Yeah, you could watch something on YouTube like best of fireworks from X city for like the last 20 years or something.
Yeah, everyone's got
You
their
could
options.
Revisit your favorite fireworks.
Everyone has their own traditions. It's a lovely.
Jeez.
It's a lovely
I don't do
holiday.
fireworks. I don't like fireworks. They actually kind of scare me. So,
Oh, you're like my cat.
oh yeah,
He is so
I'm
scared.
like a cat.
He is. Well, no. So
Or-
people have been setting them off here like the last week.
What?
Yeah, like really they've been every like day or so. There's been some sort of fireworks since Juneteenth
Oh, okay.
going off. For one reason or another.
Hmm.
And my little cat, his safe space is under my desk here,
Uh-huh.
and he has just been like hiding out under the desk pretty frequently. Not gonna lie, it's adorable and keeps my foots warm.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a very sweet boy. But yeah, little dude's been hearing the pops off, and he's just like, God damn it. And like just comes in here, like he'll like nuzz me and be like, Hey guy, I'm going at your foots. And then he
Mm-hmm.
just goes and like curls up and falls asleep there.
Ah, yes.
Yep, yep. Forms his samurai pizza loaf. He knows
Oh,
exactly what he's doing.
that sounds adorable.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. Mine
My cats
fantastic cat.
don't give a shit about fireworks. Like, I'm the one that's afraid of them, and my cats are just like, fucking grow a pair.
Oh man, maybe that's what. Maybe if I'm scared of the fireworks, he'll be like, "Well, come on, buddy. What's
Yep.
this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
My
gonna
cats are
go."
just ashamed of me, so
Aw. Aw.
it's all fine.
Bagels, I'm sure you or a pet is scared of fireworks too. I just want to make you part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I just permanently hide in the basement whenever I hear a firework go off.
You
It's
just you're just in the basement. Like let's.
Yeah, it sounds like you're down there for other reasons, but you're using the fireworks as a weird excuse. What you doing in the basement, Bagels?
Don't worry about it. It's a safe space.
Based on your
I
answer, I'm worried about it more.
have concerns.
I
These
mean,
concerns are not going to end.
how many basements do you have, sir?
Oh
I have
God,
all of
there's
the
more
basements.
than one.
Oh no. Only one property, multiple basements.
I live in a small town, so just imagine a tunnel of basements just connecting all the houses in town. And that's basically what it is. I have access to everybody's basement.
Nothing
they
but
don't know it.
miles and miles of stored canned goods. Because that's what I imagine people do in a small town with their basements.
I was thinking it's some sort of like weird, like you know those dolls from like the 1900s that could blink, like they were like made of porcelain and they're all
Ooh,
kind of
yeah.
dirty and cracked, but they're blinking.
Are you saying I'm in a horror movie?
You're living. You know what? All basements are in horror movies. So.
All basements.
Yep, all basements are a horror movie, or are in a horror movie.
Especially
Starring in a generic horror movie, Basement.
especially the unfinished ones.
Oh God.
I feel like if you
There's
don't
just-
have a real floor, like you're just asking for it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who knows what's going to come out of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Could be anything.
it's not for me. Yeah.
So sorry to everyone listening who has an unfinished basement that they may or may not live with. Didn't mean to freak you out.
Sorry to let you know, but it's probably haunted.
Yeah,
You
I
might
would.
want to get that basement finished.
Yeah, I would. I would wash my clothes elsewhere if that's where the washer and dryer are.
Oh God.
It's
You know, my boss told me a story when I first started working where I currently just like 5 years ago that she kept her cleaning stuff in an unfinished basement and felt something tugging on her hair when there's like nothing around it could have gotten caught on. And so she'd look around, she'd be like, who's that? And there's like fucking nothing there. And it happened all the time. She's like, yeah, there's some ghosts that like to pull on my hair in my basement. I'm like, I don't believe you, but I also don't like it.
See,
So-
I've seen so many M. Night Shyamalan movies at this point that I'm waiting for you to be like, turns out she never had any hair. It was phantom.
Turns out she was never in a basement.
It was all a hallucination.
Yeah,
She-
she's been in the middle of a forest community that thinks it's the 1830s this whole
Oh
time.
God. I was gonna say turns out she's in an elevator, but
Ooh, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
too. The devil
could-
was the old woman.
I thought the devil was the elevator.
Oh yeah, no, I never saw that movie.
I didn't either. I'm just assuming if something's with an elevator and there's a demon in it, it's probably the elevator,
I
right?
love how it's all these people saying, "Oh, the devil's the one person you least expect." I was like, I don't
The
know
elevator.
if anyone expected him to need an elevator in this whole process.
Do you know what? If I was the devil, I'm sure as shit not taking the stairs. I am lazy.
I mean, true. I
Yeah.
feel like if I was the devil, I'd flex on people like JoJo flexes on the other
yeah.
guys in JoJo. I'd just be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you guys have to walk? Like I float everywhere. That's what real
Hmm.
angels and devils
Yeah.
do."
Yeah.
Goodbye, and then I would float away with like a
Goodbye.
hair flourish because like my hair would grow
Oh.
back in hell. So
A flourish, you say?
yeah, no, because extra mousse. That's what I would use
Oh, okay.
to get it. Maybe I'd feather it a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
very handsome. I like that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of product, and you're gonna be like, why is his hair so majestic? And then you'll be like, oh, this is hell. That's why I hate it. Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's how I
that
torture
sounds about
people
right.
with my lovely, lovely hair.
With your looks.
That's the type of devil I would be.
One of them good-looking devils.
Yes.
Tricking all those unsuspecting, horny quarantine people.
Where does he have time to find that much product? Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus.
You never see him go to the salon. That's all I'm saying.
I ordered on Amazon.
Oh god. No wonder it went straight to hell.
Exactly.
Oh, oh, topical humor.
What up?
So why we're here is,
Oh yeah, are we talking about things? Okay.
yeah, this is actually a Destiny Advanced Theory podcast if you're tuning into us for the first time. That isn't to say we are exclusive or don't want to help if there's something we talk about that you don't understand. It's just to say that we kind of have an expectation that you have a sort of understanding for the topics we're going to discuss. But
We'll
if
see.
if you listen to it and you're like, Taylor-B, I thought I understood the general stuff in this game, but I still don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How can I learn more? You can reach out to us at Spinfoil Theory on Twitter, at spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. You can reach out to me personally on Twitter at thisisredleader, Litre, all one word. If you're in a tough spot, no one else can help, and if you can find him on LFG, you can even ask the Bagels.
Have to say my name 3 times. That's all that. All it takes. All it takes.
Are you Beetlejuice, but made of bagels?
You don't want to know.
Horrifying.
He's bagel juice.
And fucking no.
You know about the bagel juice?
If your bagel has juice, we need to have a discussion on what you think a bagel is.
I mean, your bagel doesn't have juice? Okay. That's all I have to say about that.
Mine are good proper bagels. I don't know what the hell kind of bagels you're making.
The bagels, but anyway. Respect the article.
Oh, jeez.
This week's topic, with that bit of housekeeping out of the way, this week's topic is a very fun one, I think, and it's basically going over recent lore events that we learned, taking the events of the Lie recent lore entry book that sort of explains Felwinter, and the theory is that Rasputin had to kill Felwinter, like he didn't have a choice. The crux of this really like all going back to what at least I believe and I think is pretty much indisputable canon. Felwinter, or Rasputin rather, is programmed very hard to be on the side of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
He has never shown any inclination that he is not on the side of humanity. His end task is to make sure humanity survives. At most, as an action, in my view, he's acted against Guardians who, again, like, in my view, aren't allied with humanity. They're allied with the Traveler. They're sort of like a third faction, and I think that's very reasonable that Rasputin would think that way too. And so the idea is that when Rasputin's Exarchor, what would become Felwinter, is rezzed by their ghost, Felspring, Rasputin's left in this sort of position where like he's both happy his son is back, but also like terribly saddened because he has to kill his son. And so, depending on how you interpret it, basically, he orchestrates this entire series of events to eventually capture and kill Felwinter, and ends up involving the Iron Lords and many other parties who otherwise may have been just left alone to their if they were just to their own devices.
Mm-hmm.
I would also offer in credence of the theory that Rasputin is always remorseful when he talks about what happened with Felwinter. He's never happy about it. He's never matter of fact about it. He's always like sad that he had to kill his son. And I would argue that he had to do so because, again, like, Traveler does not equal humanity. The Traveler is its own faction. It just happens to be working with humanity at the moment. Even in the credence of the Traveler is meant to run away. So again, I think the most powerful AI that humanity's ever come up with probably figured that out. And just knows that agents of the Traveler are not agents of humanity necessarily. And so I would say that's sort of the bones and fleshy bits of the theory.
Sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to our guest, Ms. Orchid.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to ask what your thoughts, personal theories and preferences are on this here theory that brought us together today.
Awesome. So the lore book in question is The Liar, which you got from completing the Felwinter's Lie, killing lots of stuff with it. And just like you said, essentially it goes through the story of how Felwinter kind of awoke, figured out who he was out of many years of research with Felspring, his ghost. And they then took a trek because all of their digging finally led them to certain computer banks that had information on like who he used to be, who like there's actually like an entire chapter of this lore book that is just computer nonsense talking about Siddhartha Golem, and you figure out Siddhartha, the if you were forced to read it in school, the book of like it's essentially like a journey of discovery, which is what Felwinter did with Felspring, kind of discovering who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we figure out at the end, the very, very end, that he's actually a part of Rasputin, that they stuck in this golem. And it was for the purpose of Rasputin figuring out, how to have more emotion, is the way I understood it. To have like more compassion and empathy and understanding of the humans that he was tasked to care for and watch over. I think. I'm pretty certain that's.
I would completely agree with that. In fact, if you look back to like Kraken Mare events,
Mm-hmm.
where he actually shot down
yes.
I don't know, it's a ship of some variety.
Yeah.
And it's seemingly that's the type of event that this type of project would have been there to help avoid. Obviously,
right.
the Golem project would have been before Kraken Mare, because Kraken Mare was right before the collapse.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it seems pretty apparent to me that the whole point of the Golem project was to make Rasputin more aware of what the day-to-day life of a human being would be. And so he would have the compassion and understanding of what being a human is, and therefore have a greater ability to weigh the life of an individual versus the greater good.
And I do remember Kraken Mare. The entire lore book, I actually really enjoyed it because it was essentially a one-off story of people we didn't know who they were, really. was a bunch of random characters, but it did describe part of the collapse, which is kind of rare. That's actually described as it's happening. So especially to Titan, because Titan was a really special situation with the darkness kind of like yoinking on the planet and going ba-ching!
Right?
This is mine now.
Yeah.
The Traveler white woman doll over it confirmed.
Yes.
This is
But
mine
anyway,
now,
so you asked about whether he had to kill himself ultimately is what we're talking about. And I think when he panicked because Felwinter then was rezzed after he died, and he didn't have control over his own body anymore. So you essentially have like, we talked earlier about, which wasn't recorded, about like, because
or was it?
It is, or was it? Essentially, since it was a part of Rasputin, and so I just ascribed it to it being Rasputin's foot, and he turned that into Felwinter because, for lack of a better description. And so, like, if your foot's doing, janky stuff, like you're gonna get rid of it. If you can't control it anymore, you'd be like, well, I'm done with this thing. And so he's just gonna like cut it off because he can't pull. You can't have part of yourself just running around like without your control over it.
You can't pull your own leg. Come on.
Oh my god.
God, just you're fired. Firing you from your own podcast.
All right, guys, it's been a good run. Had a great bagels. I'm just gonna I leave the rest to you, and goodbye. All right. I'll accept my severance podcast for the next movies.
We'll leave a box on your desk at least, so you can put all your potted plant and your stapler in it and shit.
I will. I'm gonna put.
Yeah.
I only have pod beans, but
okay.
That's okay.
Jeez.
Sorry.
God.
Not to derail us. That's a very interesting take because I always viewed it as sort of a and I mean this strictly as a reference to the sort of Christian Trinity. This isn't to say that necessarily Rasputin exists as a Trinity, but it's like they're separate but the same at the same time. So when I read the parts about how from last season especially how Rasputin is sad that he had to kill his son, like his son was taken from him and then it was brought back but not as his son. And so he like shows remorse and like sort of grief for that he had, like he basically, it'd be like if you had a child, the child died and then basically came back as a zombie. Let's say it's the most sentient version of zombie from iZombie that you care to reflect upon, but it's still a fucking zombie. And so you have to sort of perhaps reluctantly put them down. Is sort of how I had interpreted it, but also in reference to what you brought up, Siddhartha Golem. Siddhartha is the name of the first Buddha. And so like the fact that he goes on this sort of philosophical journey as arguably a golem in being an exo, especially an exo with the spirit of the Great Warmind to experience the terrestrial experience.
Right.
It kind of makes that like its own intriguing. Like it makes me think maybe just because he became a guardian, maybe Felwinter didn't stop being Rasputin.
Interesting.
So
you think a part of, so explain that for a second because I'm not really catching on. So Felwinter didn't stop being Rasputin after he became a guardian?
Well, when he's rezzed and his ghost tells him he's Felwinter, he knows that's not his name.
Right.
There's no other Risen who knows that.
This is true.
That we're aware of.
As far as we know. Yeah, as far as we know.
And or perhaps there's an argument for Anna Bray just because she had a fucking name tag on.
Well, that and I think Exos have their name etched into them, as I understand it.
Felwinter had a number etched into his skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that reference is to, actually. That's another Iron Lord talking to him and saying that he's more than just that number etched into his skin. So there's potential.
I think there's more than that though, but I have to go back and double check on that. So
That's the only one that comes off the top of my head. If you want to give that a sort of like run in the background as we chickity chat. That's all right by me. But yeah, that's yeah. My understanding is Felwinter is the example of it being etched into them.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't to say he's the only one, but like that's the most prime one that always came into my example. Because as you and fans of the show may know, I've had my own theories about the exos.
Mm-hmm.
About what potentially the number represents, and I certainly cite the number etched into Felwinter's chest in that argument that I make in another episode of the Spinfoil Theory podcast. Please join us in all our
shameless
library of... Yeah, I plug myself on my own fucking show shamelessly. Like, yeah, asshole, we know who you are. We're listening to you.
Oh no, we do that on our show all the time too. Don't worry.
Oh yay! All right, so it's not now
not
that it's
just
not
you.
just me. Like,
No.
okay, well
No.
then, welcome to the Spinfoil Theory podcast. But yeah, it was always very interesting to me. That sort of just going back to what I first brought up, that sort of duality that they had.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like at least up to a point at least up to a point of divergence, I would probably call it when Felwinter died and was rezzed.
Okay.
They probably have a shared memory bank from the sound of it. Because I don't think Felwinter ever questioned what he was, or who he had been in his previous life. I think he knew the whole time, and I think Felspring did too. Yeah, because how else would Felspring know to tell him not to say who he is and to give him a false name?
Huh. Because when I read The Liar, because we just did The Liar on our own podcast, we realized a lot of it was Felwinter being like, he was always kind of questioning himself quietly with the prompting of Felspring. Like, who are you? I don't know. What's your name? No idea. Like, what are you? Well, I guess I'm an EXO. I have no fucking clue. Like, Felwinter, like, to me, he was the guy, he's just kind of dumb. A little bit. Felwinter's just like dumb as shit. A little bit.
I always took it as he's not dumb, but he's just not a very good spy. Like, he's not good at lying. And so they'd be like, "Who are you? I'm Felwinter." "That's not your real name." "Yeah, it is."
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he might probably
Question
like.
mark?
Well, I was gonna say, like, he sounds like the type a character in a D&D game Bagels and I are doing for a one shot, who just kind of like says what he's doing after he does it. So he lies
yes.
to you. He lies to you and says deception. like right after.
Interesting.
Tries to woo you, like a Dragon Ball Z character. Like, you know
Yes.
exactly what move he's doing because he has to announce it or else it won't work.
Uh-huh.
And it usually doesn't work anyway.
Uh-huh.
Maybe 1 out of 3 times. There's a long
Right.
process for the spirit bomb
Mhm.
to come out. And we've lost our guest, Bagels. She's now just a recording of oh great.
Oh god. Yeah.
This is what I signed up for.
Yeah, well, it was nice talking to you guys.
All right. Thank you for coming. End of show.
Yep.
Sorry, guests. But,
I think we've tried to end this show 3 times now. We've been doing it for like 20 minutes.
oh god, no one will ever be when it really ends. Like,
That's what
9
makes it
years
so
later,
great.
I think they're still going.
Maybe.
The game's been over for a while, but they keep
No.
saying goodbye, but they keep
Yeah.
talking afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like, you know when you're a little kid and your mom's saying goodbye to someone she ran into in the parking lot,
Yeah.
but really 9 years later you actually got home. All your friends have
Interesting.
graduated from elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation just keeps going. Oh, it was great running into you. All right, let's talk for another 15 minutes. Okay, this will be great.
Well.
And then they keep talking and they keep talking.
And you're just stuck there, like looking at your mom,
Yeah,
like she's jangling the keys around, and you're
yeah,
just like,
yeah. She won't even let you get into the car where your Game Boy
nope.
is.
No, you're standing against this hot fucking like 1994 like silver Ford Taurus, and it's
Yep.
just like burning your arm
Yep.
skin.
Yep. And you
And
know
you
what
can't
the
do
code
anything.
is. You know what the
Oh,
code
yeah.
is to punch into
Yeah.
the side.
Yep, but you
We're
can't
dating ourselves
because
so hard,
yeah,
fans.
you can't.
Sorry if you
Yeah.
have no idea about the door code that you
Yeah,
used to do on Fords.
doors had codes, guys. You think you could just open a door? No, it was
Yeah.
the 90s. It was the height of electronics.
This is the height.
Security.
You could just punch it in. Your
just-
4-digit code.
Yep. Ours was 1111.
Ooh, clever.
Thank
I would have maybe expected 3 ones, but it's
Mm-mm.
the 4th one where I would have been like, nah, it's probably a 2 here.
Well,
You
see,
know.
you'd think that'd be the first password that people would check. It's not.
At least it wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, you can't do that
Wait.
one. I don't think it let you.
Not after Spaceballs.
Mhm,
Yeah.
exactly.
What am I, some idiot putting a code on his luggage? Like, that's not. Oh, so younger fans, these are all references worth your time and attention.
They are.
I would go watch a Spaceballs. That's just me.
You would watch Spaceballs?
Well, there's only the one currently.
Well, you said Spaceballs. I'm like, that is a thing.
Yep.
Spaceballs.
A Spaceballs.
You are correct.
I would watch.
You just have to start watching the embedded video over and over again, and then you're watching multiple Spaceballs. That's how it
This
works,
is-
right?
Ooh. I think
Yes.
there is talk of a Spaceballs the sequel. At least there was before COVID.
Is there?
Yeah, which personally I hope brings about Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Oh my god.
I've wanted that since I was a kid.
Oh my god. Please let it be so.
Merchandising.
Well, alright, I was kicking myself about Spaceballs the flamethrower, and then Elon Musk had that fucking flamethrower that I also couldn't afford and missed out on.
I wanted it so bad when I saw it. I'm like, I need a fucking flamethrower, and Elon Musk is trying to give me one.
Isn't it powered by something fucking stupid like aerosol cans?
It's probably powered by fucking space magic because it's Elon Musk.
It's true.
Space
It's
magic
true.
and math.
It's powered by all the souls not burned by fossil fuels that now can't reach heaven.
Oh my god.
Because of Elon Musk and his dark electricity.
His dark terror.
That's right. That's right. He
Uh,
doesn't believe in COVID
Nope.
or fossil fuels.
Or fossil fuels. He's dead to me.
Just doesn't believe in them. He's not going there.
No.
It's only for... Uh,
Jeez.
yeah, sorry everyone who didn't want to show up for what I'm guessing is our most political episode yet.
Yeah. Elon fucking Musk. Because that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what...
Do you think he's Felwinter? I'm pretty certain he is.
Well, he can't be Felwinter just because... And I only say he can't be Felwinter is because Felwinter would definitely not be trying to expand space travel.
I don't know about that.
I feel
know
like
about that.
I feel like anyone who's content just controlling a mountain isn't quite looking into Space.
I don't know about that. I mean, who doesn't look at space and wonder, like, man, that's a lot of space. I'd like to go touch it.
But I feel
Eris
like
Morn is gonna go touch it. She touches fucking everything.
she does.
She says, "Look at this, touching it. Look at this, I'm touching it.
I just
Look
imagine
at this, touching it."
I just imagine Eris Morn as Jack Skellington. What's this? What's this? There's darkness in the air. What's this? All right.
She strikes me as like an elementary school boy who's like in 5th grade that is touching everything to put his cooties on it so no one else can touch it. So she's like, this is all mine now. I touched it. It's got my cooties on it. Like,
See,
smart.
you say that, but I imagine that
Yeah.
everything in this scenario is just cupcakes.
What? Why cupcakes?
Because so far she seems to have been right about all the things that she touched.
Yeah, but maybe she shouldn't be touching it. Like, maybe stop touching things?
I mean,
Just
but it
a
keeps
thought?
working out. It keeps working out.
It does it, though?
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
I'm just saying, demonstrably, she's touched I think 12 things.
It's very specific number.
Yeah, I think 12 things total. And
Oh my
so
Only
far,
touched 12 things in this world.
yeah, just
We
in
can
life.
name
that's
all of them.
Yeah, no, we'll do that on a different episode. But they're there. They're there. We'll have,
My God.
we'll have the 12 things
All
ready
right,
to go.
ready for the bagels train?
Yeah.
All right, bagels. Have you done? Did we
I've done-
kill enough time for you to look up everything you needed
I
to?
think so.
All right,
Lay it on me.
all right. Diversion
so-
accomplished.
The Sixth Coyote lore tab, it says, how do Guardians pick their names? According to Theron, Exo Guardians usually remember their names, but that's it. Awoken and human Guardians remember nothing, so they pick their new names. And that seems consistent with, like, Cade remembering things, and they all remembering the numbers that are associated with their resets and that sort of stuff. So it seems to add up that Exos typically remember their names. Now, it's not always the case, especially in the case of, like, Felwinter, which is not particularly surprising, because we've basically, I would assume Rasputin would want to build in some sort of, like, memory wipe if his golem failed. That's my best guess.
Well, let's see. I would say just the opposite. If it dies, that's one thing. I don't think he ever built into it the idea that it could be resurrected, because maybe it died from a kill switch function.
I'm not saying for resurrection purposes. I'm just saying that upon death, it would memory wipe. That way, somebody can steal the memories of Felwinter. Well, the golem / Rasputin, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought process, anyway. So that's probably why Felwinter doesn't remember his name. Some sort of safety feature built in by Rasputin.
Well, I guess we don't know if he remembers it, but we know that he knows Felwinter was not his name. Because when he's told Felwinter, he's like, "That's not my name."
Yeah, that doesn't seem right, is what he says, and that's understandable. So he might have some sort of reference to a memory that's not there about his name. That would be my thought. Memory callback fails, name not found, essentially. Some sort of error code like that. That's what I'm thinking.
I thought that when any exo is res, it essentially partitions their brain. And it's it has something to do with the light, so they just can't access what's still there. Because I can't imagine, I understand organics, awoken in humans, not having the ability to access that part of the brain anymore because they were dead. Dead. But if your computer is dead, the stuff is still there. It's not it doesn't disappear forever unless you microwave it or something.
Yeah, there's always
something there. And that's always really bothered me.
Well,
yeah.
All right, so you could, especially software, not firmware. Let's assume the Exo's functions and just being able to Exo is a firmware function, just for sake of argument. I feel like what happens to an Exo is a software wipe, and to sort of what you're talking about right now, because if the firmware was wiped, to your point, they wouldn't be able to Exo. They wouldn't be able to talk or do anything like that. So just to your point, I feel like it's sort of a combination of it's a software wipe with. From what I gather about Exos, why they start hemorrhaging memories, it seems like all of their memory is cached data.
Okay.
It's not something that actually gets saved. It's something that's cached until they are forced to reset. Just like how your computer might start hemorrhaging or acting really slowly or buggily.
Right.
And all you need to do is a reboot. And you clear all your cache data. and then you're fine again because basically your RAM is what's working. So like my guess is that while the personality is sort of part of the firmware, their memories are sort of part of that RAM. And
Okay.
while they have like enough to last years, I feel like the very nature of the exos being deployed in a like at least in their initial purpose in a potential war situation. I I I,
Okay.
I think it maybe makes sense that they weren't built for long-term memory, or if they were, the how it was figured out was probably something to do with the Deep Stone Crypt.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
mean, they did talk about the deep stone. So this is another thing that bothers me about this lore book in general, is that they talk about the deep stone crypt. They talk about all these things that, by all rights, he should know about. And he's like, I don't know what that is. What is a deep stone crypt? Because Fellspring's constantly being like, oh, like DSC 358 or whatever it is. And so he's like, oh, what's DSC? I don't understand. She's like, Deep Stone Crypt. And he's like, what? It's like other guardians know these things. It feels like it's basic knowledge, but he doesn't. And I'm wondering if that is because of Rasputin, to make sure he doesn't know
I
that
think
he's
it's
part of Rasputin, or do you think he just doesn't know?
I think it's more so his isolation. When he
Okay.
first encounters that I think it's Seraph bunker, right?
Yeah.
He discovers that information in.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
he's
the one that
basically.
just lights up.
I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that's before even Felwinter's peak. So I think he basically has been in isolation up until that point. Besides Griffin and
I
maybe like a few random.
I
Uh,
wanna. Oh, I'm sorry.
go on, go on.
No, I was just
Yeah.
I want to offer that given that he was special and had to have enough memory to like hold essentially be a Rasputin core.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's playing by some special rules because even if he's saying his name is Felwinter, he was never Felwinter dash any number.
No.
And I'm think maybe just because of how special a unit he is, maybe he didn't have the same memory limitations.
See, now you're starting to sway me, and I'm wondering like how much bullshittery he was up to, because this is all very circumstantial and very sus.
Dude, like it's a really interesting thing that you have to worry about because I would say the biggest argument just getting all the way back to the what brought us here tonight. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're Rasputin and there's this walking version of mobile version of you who, as far as you're concerned, is no longer allied with you,
Mm-hmm.
like whether he remembers everything or not, and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, he potentially has access to all of the Earth's system's defenses.
Well, yeah,
That's
it proves that he does, because he can just walk into a bunker and it turns on for him. He doesn't have to do
exactly
Right.
anything.
yeah
He just
Right.
looks at a bunker and it just like spreads its legs.
yeah
Right. Which
that
is, it's both powerful, exciting, and creepy.
Yeah, a little bit. A little, I'm gonna go with creepy, but
It's
that's the portion that I wanted to dive into specifically. The fact that we have Felwinter just walking into these bunkers and everything just lights up for him automatically. The
mm-hmm.
the concept that he can do that is certainly got to frighten the shit out of Rasputin.
Right.
Just he knows that his golem has woken up as not under his direct control, can do these things. Might also have a complete record of all, at least whatever subprocesses that Rasputin loaded into him. It might be
Mm-hmm.
encrypted, it might be wiped. We don't know about that portion of it specifically. It might still all be there for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's certainly just the concept of Felwinter walking around with access to all the Seraph bunkers is enough to put Rasputin at least a little bit on edge, as we can see
Right.
him dropping war sats on him.
right. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, no, it definitely sort of paints the picture a little differently. Like even if you don't like Rasputin 100%, I think just putting yourself in that situation, kind of like, well, fuck, maybe I do have to kill my zombie son.
I don't think he considered him his son, though. I think he considered him just a part of himself, and he's like, "Oh, I got to turn this shit off now because I don't have control over it anymore." Like,
He at least
I
he at
think
least
it's a
uses
little-
it. He at least uses it as a metaphor to explain
Yeah.
the relationship between him and the Exo, because that's how he refers to Felwinter last season.
And, yeah.
yeah,
in
but
the-
that wasn't until the very end. Like, and Felwinter had been dead, and I think Rasputin had had a lot of time to really consider it and what Felwinter meant and that whole journey.
I think it's a little of both. I think Rasputin does view him as a son, but he still views him as an important asset that he
Right.
has to make control at.
Mhm.
And
To
so
manage it, yeah.
yeah, it's you're allowed to feel that conflict, and I think that's what Rasputin attempts to establish in that mission right at the end of last season, where
Right.
basically you walk into the bunker and Rasputin says, "I chase my son across fields and mountains and oceans, and then if I can't have my son, then no one shall." Basically,
Yeah.
saying right then and there that he's
Really
not going to allow
yawning.
the traveler to control his. If he's using sun as a metaphor, then it's just his technology. But he could also be literally referring to an emotional attachment that he developed over time because he put this exo on Earth to study humanity.
Right.
And just to offer, like, I sort of interpreted the whole thing, rather than if I can't have this, no one can, as especially the way he tells the story, and I guess to Orchid's point, there is maybe a grain of salt to be taken that he'd had time to sort of think about how he tells us this story, since it happened, obviously. But I kind of took it as, like, you know, he valued the asset, he valued that body, he valued his, like, air quotes son, and probably regretted, or at least, like, in his own way, like, he's a super AI that's gained sentience his own way. I think he missed Felwinter, like, one way or the other. Like, he missed the exit that Felwinter was, for whatever reason, and it died, and then all of a sudden it gets picked up, and his core programming just sort of dictates that, like, no, that can't be. You have to destroy that.
I want to add a little bit of context to his when you say reflections on the past. Essentially, I think is what you're getting at. Especially when we first encounter Rasputin in D1, he is entirely off-put by Guardians. Like, when we first see him, he does not want to have anything to do with us except for the fact that he needs us to save that bunker on Earth initially. And eventually kind of warms up to us, and we see more of that in Warmind and in Season of the Worthy specifically, where he starts to accept Guardians as more of an asset. And he sees that perhaps the risen Guardians are not necessarily enemies, but they can be allies, and that reflection might actually put some positive spin on the memory of Felwinter, and now I think he probably regrets having killed Felwinter.
So, I want to put another spin on that. I want to offer that was just the Earth compartmentalized Rasputin mind that did not trust Guardians, having its most recent interaction been with the Iron Lords and Rasputin.
And that's fair too. That
Well, I only offer this because Anna Bray is rezzed well before us, and starts on her various journeys in Mars with Braytech and with Rasputin before we are rezzed.
But we do also know that Anna Bray is special. Like, her light is special. She has different, like, attachments. Like, she's, you know, augmented in a weird way to talk to him. And I think he recognized her anyway.
Well, dude, everything recognizes her. She still has her fucking badge.
Yeah, exactly. So
she still has her badge.
I think for him to recognize her and give her those permissions and trust her,
well, actually, I think that makes sense too. But where I was going with, where he can be doing that on one planet and the one we encounter can be acting another way, is that they weren't linked.
That's entirely fair.
We do that. We link them in the D1 story mission. where we turn his satellite uplink back on from Earth.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to add to that how, like, yes, that's all, like, it seems weird that he would be acting differently, and then you got to consider he's been a fragmented mind for however many centuries.
And
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely fair too.
On each planet, and then you're like, oh snap. And now we're sort of getting this, having had a chance to, especially since I think he's been fully activated the most recently, as far as he's going to be in the solar system. Yeah, I think he's probably hasn't been thinking straight, thinking whole for a long time.
I mean, that could be the catalyst as to why he suddenly thinks of Felwinter and wants to tell us the story, and I guess get it, quote unquote, get it off his chest. You know, like air quotes. But do you think he felt guilty enough, and that's why it prompted him to tell us? Like
I think that's a large component of why he brings us to that bunker on the moon, and his guilt is quite evident in that, and he wants to show us that guilt as a means to convince us that he is worthy of our trust. I think that's a large component of that mission right there.
And we'd helped him a bunch by then, canonically, as the Guardian.
It's true, but I don't mean us necessarily as Guardians ourselves, but more so like Zavala, the Vanguard, Guardians as a whole. Because still, we know that even entering into Season of the Worthy, Zavala was quite apprehensive of Rasputin, although that quickly turns itself on its head at first mission. But
well, he was also like, everyone was super jazzed, was super fucking stoked on Rasputin in D1. They're like, oh shit, Old Earth Warmind, like, we need to wake this dude up. We're on Old Earth. That's where we're from. we should wake him up. But to your point, TheBagelz, what I was actually going for was more of the last Guardians he had encountered. I think we made a big argument for ourselves and the Tower during the Siva crisis, because we immediately was like, yeah, no, let's destroy all the Siva, as opposed to the last group of Guardians. You know, even knowing now that he kind of like used it as a lure for them, they went for it. And we did not. We went for immediately like, no, that's like heckin' dangerous.
Right. Yeah, we recognize the danger, but we also saw the Fallen splicing it, and we realized that we needed to put an end to that, so that certainly contributed, but your point does stand.
We did have a very good example by way of the Fallen.
Right. But that does kind of bring me around to my caveat for this theory. My thought process is that what we know is that Felwinter was actually left alone when he stopped bothering Rasputin bunkers. So if we go to card number 8, the search for the Liar lore book, we hear from Felspring. If anything, she went on. If anything, she went on. You're just putting us back on his radar. When we stayed in the mountain, he stopped bothering us. So we know for at least quite a while, Rasputin didn't actually attempt anything against Felwinter, despite his continued existence in. Albeit a fortified bunker, so he might have had difficulty doing that. So that's my caveat to the caveat. But still, we know that he left him alone for quite a while until Felwinter came down from the mountain, started searching again, and was trying to find Siva in order to help humanity rebuild. And that's the point where he found the lure and was led into the Siva trap and eventually killed. So my thought process there is, it's possible that had Felwinter just tried to live his life up on Felwinter Peak and basically never come back down, he might have just left him alone. It's entirely possible. So he might actually have to kill him.
I personally say fucking Teamer, who got Felwinter to come down by way of what I imagine was a friendship punch.
Yeah, probably.
Per his token in his artifact in D1, that fucking friendship punch was the coolest shit if you were running stuff solo.
That was fantastic.
Oh god, like, You couldn't do it to bosses. I don't. You played D1 yet? Yeah, Orchid.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you recall, like you couldn't do it to bosses, but if you did it to like a captain or like a boomer titan,
Mm-hmm.
you had the coolest fucking buddy for the rest of the fucking fight. It's just gonna like. Oh man, that was. We need more of that, Bungie. I realize there's probably reasons that you're doing it the way you are now, but oh man. And
That would be
Felwinter's
fun.
token was great. An extra
Yep.
grenade charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, melee and grenade. But you lost your super, right?
You lost your super,
Yeah,
but
you
if
lost
you
your
played,
super.
but if you played neutral,
Yeah, Night Stalker mains threw that shit on.
Night Stalker means. I tell you what, I did it with. At that point, I was using incendiary grenades because they'd nerfed and unsticky my boys. In the gunslinger, which, oh my god, who's so happy that we can turn things into unicorns again? Who's so happy? And I love being on a team. Like, I haven't even played Iron Banner this week. I need to do some of that mess. But
I just want to make a quick comment on your unicorn business. I love the fact that the moment that TWAB came out, you just messaged me and all you said was, "Unicorns are back."
Yep. Yeah, no, I am about that life.
That unicorn life.
Dude. So like, people don't know about turning your buddy into a unicorn also, because if you have a titan or someone who's just like aping all the time, you throw the fucking sticky grenade on their back, and then they rush into people and also explode. But it doesn't
Also
hurt them.
Telesto.
Like, yeah.
It's like peppering yourself with Telesto is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't play a
mean-
hunter in D1,
Oh, man.
so yeah.
What are you a hunter now? What's your class?
No, I'm a warlock.
You're a warlock. We got a
Yeah.
warlock on the show. The
I
bagel.
was a dirty self-res warlock.
Ooh.
There were many and far to be seen, especially in the raids.
There are many of us. Yeah. No, I like to run trials with my dirty self-res warlock. So,
Oh man. And two of your best self-res warlock friends.
yep. How on earth did you know?
We just
It was me and every other team
Yeah,
every single week.
What do you mean we all dressed alike? We all just happen to really like Icebreaker, okay?
Yep.
That's what we showed up with. We
Yep.
didn't have to change. What are you talking about?
I really feel called out here because that's what I used.
Oh, I love it. Well, I don't love it.
No.
I was one of those guys. The only times in D1, the only times I made it to the lighthouse were on weird weeks where I ended up having to LFG because I never was able to play well enough for our friends who are really good at PvP to carry me.
Hmm.
They were like too good
Yeah.
for me to keep up with, so like I really brought the team down.
Mhm.
But I teamed up with these guys who were like better than me, but still like closer to my skill level, and we played on a map that everyone who I knew that was really good hated.
Oh, okay.
And we just ran around in a circle, just fucking shotgunning everything,
Nice.
like
As you do.
little kids. Well, it's like, you know, when you watch little kids playing soccer, and the team with the better fundamentals is actually doing worse just because like everyone has so much fucking energy that the pack of kids ends up getting control of the soccer ball.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like that, except the pack of kids was us, and we were shotgunning
Oh my
everyone.
god, they're swarming!
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, and I have no shame in that game. No shame. Do what works. Apologize for
Yep.
nothing.
Nope.
But yeah, that was a great memory.
Mhm. Oh, turning back around to you talking about Felwinter and Rasputin together, and Rasputin getting Felwinter to take the bait, so to speak, and saying that he would have left him alone if he was on Felwinter's peak and just stayed there. Like, I wholly disagree with that. I think I think he had to kill it. Like, you can't, like we were talking about in the beginning, you can't just leave that You can't leave loose ends, I guess. And Felwinter was a loose end.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just wanted to bring
Mhm.
up a counterpoint because it's pretty clear that he does leave him alone for a little while, if only to plan a trap or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
actually
He was
figured
planning a trap.
I figured it was something stupid like at that time until he had his uplink to the greater Rasputin network, he couldn't like pull down warsats. And so if he was on that mountain, Rasputin was just like, well, I guess I'm doing fuck all. Don't you come off that mountain though? I'll fucking get your ass. Like, all right, well, fine. I'm just gonna stay on the mountain. Well, you better. Like, that's
It's
sort
telling
of
kid to not do something.
yeah. No. It's a total fucking spoonerism. Like, well, all right, no, you clearly are contained on that mountain
Yep.
with these iron guys. Yeah, no. Oh, you went to your friend's mountain? Like, that's how I always felt about it. The one thing I always wondered was who was defending his mountain when he wasn't there.
So, you know that angry lady who used to deliver, like, she first delivered food.
Harvey.
Yeah, and then he's like, I don't want no food. And then she like delivered weapons parts. But I assume like she took over because she's pretty badass for the little we know about her.
I can dig it. So is like, does that mean when we go there? Well, no, because we had to go back there, so something must have happened to her after they, or maybe
Well,
she
Yeah,
like
I-
she was stopped
she
getting
was
paid, so she
human.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was human and humans can die.
Fuck.
I'm assuming she
So,
either
I
died or they might have
assume
moved
she
to the
died.
city, too.
I
but-
don't know because she made it sound like they were there to stay, and then after that she made it sound, well, I mean, she just disappeared. It says in the story she just stopped showing up
Right.
at one point.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's because something actually happened to her, because
It
she's
was-
just like, well, fuck this guy.
It was all labor disputes.
Pay me more.
This is like, he hasn't given me a day off in once. Not in once, anyone.
That's funny.
I am going to unionize with myself.
Oh, jeez.
We're doing a walkout, and then
Jeez.
it was just like very unfortunate that he was already dead.
Oh no.
She went on strike, and there was just no one left to negotiate with.
Maybe I'm just the hopeless optimist, and she just moved to the city. That's what I want to hope.
That could be where she walked out to.
Yeah.
But like the whole time she's not taking serious work in the city, she's like, no, I've got this asshole on his ear now. There's not one person looking after. The gondolas aren't even on. They're so funny. He's so screwed. He's gonna miss me so like you don't even know. So I don't need full time employment. Thank you, Zavala.
Lol.
That's how I view it. All right. I think I'm at the point. I'll go back to our guest. Orchid.
Mhm.
We have a scoring system that means absolutely nothing. Use whatever numbers you want to whatever
good.
range you want,
Oh, nice.
and it has as much value as you give it of plausibility or implausible or not going to happen, depending however you want to phrase it.
Okay.
What score do you give this theory boy?
15
Ooh, 15
parsecs.
parsecs. Parsecs
So-
in plausibility or
In distance to plausibility.
I like it. I like it. I like it. 15 parsecs. I like it.
Yep. This is one of those I panicked and just said a word, but it works out, so it's fine.
No, I like if we're doing the Kessel run, then they're very close to plausibility. If plausibility is a black hole.
Well,
If-
yes.
If it's just actual distance, it could be way closer.
It could be, but you'll never know because you don't know what the end point is. You don't know if it's really close or if it's really far. It's just going to be a mystery.
I don't. So we got 15 parsecs.
15 parsecs.
As score.
Yeah. It has just as much meaning as you said I can give it, so.
As score. TheBagelz, what's your score?
I'm going to give it 671.64102 ranking as my...
What is a ranking?
It's the American version of the Kelvin scale. Absolute scale. Temperature.
No. God damn it.
It's
God damn it,
slide
TheBagelz. No. We're using fucking Starfleet measurements in this house, sir. She's our guest.
But
we can forgive her.
Is it like Voyager levels of Starfleet, because they're in the Delta Quadrant and who gives a shit?
Well, Deep Space Nine was also in parts of the Delta Quadrant by way of the wormhole.
That was the Gamma Quadrant, wasn't it?
No, but the wormhole is how Voyager gets lost.
Yeah, but it's not that wormhole.
No, it's the same wormhole.
Is it?
The prophets sent her like crazy go far. And they also fight the Jem'Hadar, I want to say, a couple times.
I don't think they do. Do they?
They definitely fight the Maquis somehow.
That's because the Maquis were already on their ship, though.
Yeah.
The Maquis were already there. They came with it.
They brought their enemy with them.
They brought it with them. It's like they were going on a road trip. They're like, you know what? We need something to do. Get your coloring books. Grab your Maquis.
Love to hate these guys. Gonna have a great time.
We'll have some scrimmages when we get to the crystalline entity.
They're gonna break off, and we're gonna be like, okay, like they were always so mad that they were breaking off, like they had to stop them. Like, you don't even control that part of space. I would have just let them go.
Well, see, they brought the Maquis, but Henry Kim couldn't bring his fucking clarinet, so.
well, no, like, what are we, assholes? You're bringing a fucking woodwind? We're going into space. You bring a brass instrument like a gentleman on Next Generation.
It's a single brass instrument of death. That's what it is. The single brass instrument of sadness.
The saddest trombone you've ever heard by way of William T. Riker.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh man! I always
he's just gonna try to seduce you with that.
I always wanted him to summon Bill Clinton in the holodeck and have them do like a brass duet.
That would be amazing. I would have loved to see that. I still want to see that. Twitter, tell them I need this.
That would have been something Taylor would have enjoyed. But, we're not here just to entertain me. So that's.
I could talk about Star Trek for 6 hours.
Oh,
no
dude,
breaks.
we need to, Bagels. We need to come up with a format where we talk about non-Destiny stuff.
Have me back. We'll talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, I'll do a Star Trek.
I have
episodes,
so many opinions.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I like it.
They're all great opinions, by the way.
Oh, I love it. 7 of 9. Do you think she could have been 7 of fewer?
You know what? She should have been 7 of 10 because she was a 10 in my book.
Ooh, I like that. No,
yeah.
I was going for that. I'm pretty sure a couple other, like, she doesn't just get separated from her micro collective. I'm pretty sure a couple of them die.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
So shouldn't she have adjusted her name? She's 7 of 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I think the 9 still compensates for those missing members. Is kind of how I feel like the feeling of loss is kind of incorporated there. That's kind of the feeling I get.
They have more individuality because there's fewer of them in the collective, but like they're also still the Borg and very literal.
I think it was just 9 was the original amount in their small collective, and then it just stayed 9.
I'm just saying, if there weren't actually 9, it's like the Big 10. Like, no, you're fucking not.
Well, we were the Pac-10, and then now we're the Pac-12, and like they're like, oh yeah, Colorado and Utah are on the West Coast, and all of us are like, no, they're not. Why are you guys here?
Well, it's really interesting. Being in the NFC East, we used to have Arizona in our division, just
That's
because
weird.
they needed some place to be. They're not there
Yeah,
anymore.
we have them now. No, we have them now.
Yeah, it's but yeah, like fuck you, Cardinals. So, no. You guys were always fun to play against. But,
I see.
Back to Felwinter.
Oh, are we still talking about Felwinter? I thought we were gonna fight about football for a second.
No. I mean, I'm a fan of the Washington team, but till they change the name, I'm just kind of like, yeah, no, shit on them all you want. Do it.
Yeah.
The Washington, no mascots.
The Washington, my favorite one that I've seen, and I realize why this won't ever get picked, but the Washington Rednecks I thought was great.
Oh, that's hilarious. I am on board with this. Why don't we have that?
As I'm saying, and the logo is just like some dude with a mullet into a rat tail.
I love it.
Like,
I love it.
It's the things I enjoy. But I always thought that was funny. Of the different ones. It's really weird because like that's not even the original franchise name. It was like changed to that in the 30s, which as we all know was like
the worst time.
Not the best times, certainly not the least racist, but
no.
Of the times, like
for there are many.
Yeah. And so it's like just change it to something else. Like we can agree that it's a political mess that we call the baseball team the Senators, but you want to talk about the Redskins, and then people are like, oh God, no, don't change tradition. Like, come on, like, go fuck yourself. Seriously.
Like, can't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yeah. I had so many TED Talks today, guys.
Aw.
I had like 18 TED Talks today.
I'm glad. Well, I'm not. Oh, I mean, I hope they were for the right reasons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were. Mm-hmm.
Nice. What are you doing?
All right.
To round out my thought process.
Yeah, sorry, the bagels. I didn't mean
You're going to have to edit this episode. I'm so sorry.
I
think we're okay.
Honestly, like, we probably don't. This is all gold, Jerry. Pure gold.
I mean, you can say that. I don't believe you.
No, like, this is what we in the radio business say. If you put that on the radio, I would listen to it.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
That's to steal a quote from another show.
I think most of our episodes would probably be about 10 minutes long if we didn't go on these miscellaneous tangents.
Yeah, and like anyone could just like stick to brass tacks. Nobody signed up for that.
No. But anyway, so yeah, I'm firmly in the camp that it's likely plausible that Felwinter had to be killed by Rasputin just on the basis that Rasputin believed that having his golem roam around without any allegiance to him as essentially the master of him would not be allowable. And so, despite my earlier stated caveat, that caveat is simply there to express a little bit of doubt in the theory, in just that it's possible that Rasputin might have left Felwinter alone had he remained isolated in his fortress on Felwinter Peak. Mm-hmm. But I still think that Rasputin would have eventually found a way to trap Felwinter in some manner.
Okay.
So yeah, Taylor, what's your score?
I can dig it. I'm gonna give it 122 and an 8.
Oh, can you do that? That's more than one.
Yeah, I gave it 122 and an 8. In reference to our special episode just dropped today. To Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as we all know, that's the false address they give so that the pizza delivery guy will deliver to the sewer. So
That's true.
I give it
I forgot that.
122 and an 8 cowabungas.
Oh,
Yeah. Cowabunga
I
can
like
be
it.
interpreted however you wish. But cowabunga it is.
so much freedom.
So much freedom in the scoring system. If so just to round this out. Orchid, if you had to, like, misgivings you have aside, what would you need to make the theory work? To where, like, you could say, like, kind of unequivocally, like, all right, yeah, that's the case because these things have now happened.
I think in order for Felwinter to have to kill or not have to kill, which one
Uh,
are we doing?
well, I guess the theory being that he had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If there was, like, any potential misgiving you have in that regard, like, what piece of information would kind of put you over the top and say, like, okay, like, he definitely, like, if you turned it up to 11, if you turned circumstances up to 11, what would it
I
take to
think.
say
Oh,
unequivocally? Yeah.
oh, okay. So picture this. We have Felwinter,
All right,
and
closing my
he
eyes.
has like a secret like ability to connect with the darkness in his brains, and then he can control Rasputin and then turn it on the Traveler
Oh no.
in order to destroy the Traveler, because the Traveler is an egg. We learned that this season, apparently, because Eris keeps touching shit. Bring it all
She
the way
doesn't.
back to her.
She
And
doesn't. It's what she does.
stop touching things, woman.
But what
Fingertips on the
about?
surfaces of everything.
I know.
Mhm.
Anyway, okay. So if he was able to be hijacked by the darkness and still had all of his permissions in order to override Rasputin himself, like it would just like flip a switch. And that isn't even necessarily the darkness. Like, let's say the Fallen get a hold of him, and like they're good with technology and they have the ability to really kind of make any technology work and create their own and just kind of put everything together and hodgepodge it until they get a working something. So like let's say they get a hold of him and we're able to turn him into their own, I don't know, machine, because they know that he could do something with Rasputin. So I mean, if it's more like if he had the ability to override Rasputin still built into him, and there was a nefarious party, whatever, the Cabal, the Fallen,
The
the
Druids.
Darkness, whatever, even maybe the Traveler, because I'm on team #Evil Traveler.
#Evil Traveler?
Yeah, I'm on that team.
Are you on team the Traveler is the winner?
Yes.
It's a small team, but growing and growing.
I'm on that team. Yeah. No, I've been on that team for a while.
I think that's a very interesting place to come from. I feel like that's one of those theories that gets a lot of flack. Of somebody wrote a very long post in our Destiny lore once, and so everyone's just kind of like, but no, these guys made all the points that we ever have to think about. There's no new information could ever change this. It's the same thing about Rasputin either shooting the Traveler in the back or letting him get shot in the back.
Right.
Yeah, people were like, no, he didn't meet Midnight Exigent. All right, so what if he just powered down so the darkness could, like, eat him up?
Yeah.
Well, shut up.
Well, so even then, let's say that the darkness, if they really are, evil, we don't know. Because we honestly have no idea. Everyone's like, no, they're totally evil because the Traveler is good. I'm like, how the fuck do you know?
Well, they do
The
give you
Traveler is
nightmares.
good. You don't know.
But
You
I
don't
mean,
know
they're
shit.
giving you the one in the moon, which I'm still debating whether or not it's just always been on the moon, or if it, like, I don't know, traded space. Like I'm leaning more towards it. It was at the center of the landmass that became Luna after after like
After
another
the
planet
planet hit
primordial
the Earth and
Earth.
broke it off.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I'm glad we're both talking about the same geologic incident that happened that created the moon.
I'm saying
Yeah.
maybe it like centered itself in all of that, like it has been
Well,
there the whole time.
I honestly, when the first time I saw it, that was immediately what I said to my fire team. I'm like, "Oh shit, this is how it happened." Like they're like, "What is wrong with you?"
So there's another one. I think we recorded this, the Bagels. But there's another one I had that before we saw the triangle ship that the planet that collided with primordial Earth to create Luna was actually Crota's war moons. One of his war moons. That's why his shrine was there, and that explained how like in Golden Age Earth when they went down there was all these like sort of like darkness and wormy creatures. Now the presence of the Dorito ship kind of turns that a little bit on its ear, but then again, like Crota's child is the only hive that seemed to have a relationship with the darkness ship, where they aren't attacked by the nightmares and aren't
They have a
terrorized
clear
by them
immunity
either.
to the nightmares.
Yeah, so that's I don't know. Still maybe up in the air. Maybe his war moon was powered by a Dorito.
Maybe.
Maybe it's an engine.
Powered by Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, as all nightmares are.
I know my nightmares on the weekends are. Oh man. So yeah, bringing it back around, bringing it home. Yeah, if there was a way to override Felwinter because someone found out that he was Rasputin, or like he was the key to unlock Rasputin to get you to do whatever you wanted, then yeah, I could see that Rasputin's like, oh shit, I left all of my passwords written down on a fucking post-it note like at Starbucks and like
talking to people.
And, yeah. I left it on, just a sandwich board or one of those like twirly boards that are advertising like mattress places ?
And I've gotta change the combination of my luggage now too, because it's the same thing.
Because it shouldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's right.
Yeah, so that is what would get me to push me over to that he had to kill him.
Okay. I really dig that. Bagels.
Yeah.
Same question.
I'm basically in the same boat. We would have to see some sort of evidence of either Rasputin representing a backdoor into Rasputin's, or Felwinter representing a backdoor into Rasputin's either mainframe or just even like a submind, like those that we found in the mini bunkers around Earth and Moon and whatnot. Or if somehow Felwinter were to access something that could potentially be outside his understanding, like Siva probably would have been, and would have caused some sort of plague that would have been the scourge of the remaining citizens of planet Earth. So yeah, just any sort of activation like that, which we kind of half see with Siva. So I feel like this is mostly confirmed in my book, regardless of additional information to come out.
I can dig it. So for me, I guess I'm in a little bit at the end of your conclusion, the Bagels. Like I think this is already up to 11. I think just the idea that the firmware that makes up who Felwinter was able to gain access to different bunkers and stuff. I feel like he probably had access to the core bunker and many other like crucial spaces that we've been, like where we go and see the Sputnik defense satellite that Rasputin was originally. Like like I feel like he would probably just have immediate access to all that, because if Anna Bray does, why not him? And he's got like hardware that's also backing him up, and she's like all she has is a badge. And I guess like a biometric signature, but like you know what I mean.
Yep, exactly.
Like, she's getting in all these places like he probably could and more. And so it's just a clear and present danger, like not just to Rasputin himself, but probably like to humanity. Like you have access to all of humanity's defense systems, especially if you're not 100% on board with the Traveler.
Right.
If you're maybe a little suspect, like our guest who's on the Traveler Evil Squad.
Hashtag evil traveler.
Hashtag evil traveler. That's where I'm at. I'm at as well. So would you guys say this is a little like at least like hyper plausible / like confirm it?
I came into this like being on board with he definitely yeah, if he given the chance, and that's why he was so upset and remorseful and felt the need to tell us that story in that short mission for the liar. So
I actually really like that take because it just kind of reminds me that like everyone's saying like, oh, her Rasputin just killed his son, fucking asshole. And I'm just like, he could have just never told us that story.
Yeah. But he chose to tell us, like, and that shows growth in that in having killed his own son, he gained that humanity that his son was created to originally give to him. If that makes, I think that's like kind of the point.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%. And actually, I'm going to do an apology for the herder. I shouldn't do that. That's middle school Taylor coming out. I don't need to. I don't need that. I won't do that again, friends. Sorry. But with that orchid, where can your already fans who probably know the answer to this question, but any new fans you may have made from this episode, where can they find you?
Oh, new fans, hello. My name is Orchid. Nice to meet you. You can find me on Twitter at HeyItsOrchid. You can also follow me on Twitch at HeyItsOrchid. Same HeyItsOrchid. And you can also listen to me weekly if we get the episode out on time. Episodes usually drop at Reset on Fridays. And
that's on
it's Guardians of Lore.
Yeah.
It is a lore podcast by 4 friends who read the lore and then mostly pretend they know what they're talking about.
I like it.
It's a great show. I may have been on it once with like.
You were on it once. That isn't even a may. You were on it. What episode were you on? You were on episode. It was supposed to be 69. So episode 70 you were on.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I missed it. I missed it by that much, and now I'm.
Oh no! So the whole. Okay, I will tell you why. The Hyvens, 2 of the 4 hosts. So we have Hyven, Mrs. Hyven. They are married. Mrs. Hyven did not play Destiny until Destiny 2. So... Yes. Everyone just kept calling her Mrs. Hyven, and so she just took that as her handle. And so that was just what she became. And we also have Elemist. He is actually on Karma's Revenge tonight. But awesome. He and Hyven started the podcast over 1.5 years ago. Awesome. And so the Hyvens bought a house, and so it was just Elmist and I for like a good 1.5 months. And we're like, shit, we need so many guests. It can't just be the 2 of us. Because we used to date and it would just be like the 2 of us sniping at each other.
Oh no.
No, just kidding. We're actually like we're pretty good friends.
Yay.
Like, yeah, we parted very amicably, so.
I was gonna say it'd be super awkward if you guys were hosts and that weren't the case. Like if you came on here just to be like, actually I fucking hate this dude.
No, we parted very amicably. It was fine. So but yeah, so it just that's what happened.
I can dig it. Actually, Elmist is going to be on our show here. I think toward the end of the month or maybe early next month. We just got finished speaking today, in fact. So I plan that. So he'll be representing. Representing.
You'll have a much better conversation with him because he actually knows what he's talking about.
I don't know. You held your own. Like, I was gonna say, like, anyone who can just like, all right, now this show's about Star Trek. We're doing this.
Yeah. Oh, Star
And
Trek.
then throw
Okay,
it
so
down.
what Hyven and Ellimist are to Destiny, I am to Star Trek.
I love it.
And also Dragon Age, and also Mass Effect. Do you want
Oh,
to talk
yeah.
about any of those games?
Ooh.
Like, I'm
down with that.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
I do like that. The Dragon Age and Mass Effect, though, like it's so hard because then you can just be like, well, in my game we burn them to the ground. So
Oh
where's
no
your
no
theory
no no
there?
no no
Like-
no! Dragon Age, hold up, hold up. That is an entire shit show of like the elves used to be spirits, but were then turned mortal,
Mhm.
and because
Like
they
an
could
asshole.
choose to turn themselves mortal, and then
Dumbasses.
yeah, well, I'm not going to disagree with you. But also it gave them the ability to be more than just like a one feeling. So you're not just pride, you're not just knowledge. Like you can do more than just that. So you can grow as a person. So I can see why they would do that. But at the same time, you have the Titans who are literal mountains that have like blood in them, and they need the dwarves to live near them. And the dwarves don't dream for a reason because they have to be near the mountain. It's a whole thing.
It is.
It's
There's
confusing.
a lot of lore behind Dragon Age.
Oh,
Like,
Dragon
no.
Age has a ton
Yeah,
of lore.
I've
Mass
played
Effect,
them all.
nothing.
I've played them all.
Mass Effect's got some shooty shoots.
we're gonna bring you back on the podcast and figure out what happened to the Corians in Andromeda.
Oh my god, I have opinions. You know what happened? They got lost. They started on their journey, and then they were called back 6 months later, and they just turned around and went back because that's the fleet that actually helped defeat the Reapers.
that wakes
So
up
the
Shepard at
Corians
the
were
end.
actually never going to Andromeda. They were like, psych.
So the DLC was a ruse the whole time.
The DLC was a ruse.
You guys heard it here first. Spinfoil
I don't see the
Fairy Fire.
DLC you speak of. We could have an entire podcast about was the DLC real.
All right. We're gonna come up with a clever name for that format, and we're gonna start doing those just as we want because that sounds like great fun. We'll come up with something. Orchid, do you have any shout-outs that you'd like to give?
Oh my god, are we at that part already? I should say shout outs to my fellow hosts, Guardians of Lore. Thank you for having me be an actual person on the show every single week, even though this is what you get. We edit a lot of this out. So
Oh no, that is pure content here. If you guys want, you can send us clips that you edit out, and we'll just make some disjointed show.
Oh no. Okay, I will say during when we did The Liar 2 weeks ago, so it was The Liar Part 1. This is part of, let me see what lore, it was the second lore book, I think. Or the second card. Yeah, so it was when the meteors were hitting the ground behind them, but they weren't meteors because they were warsats that Rasputin was trying to drop onto Felwinter to kill him. So Felwinter gets hit by a warsat, and then he goes nerp. When he, like, it says nerp, Felwinter said, as if he were swallowing all of his words and choking on them. So Elvis fucking just looks at me because we use cameras when we record because if you didn't know, I'm half deaf, so I can't hear on one side, and if I can see people speak, then I know who's speaking. So, like, the two of you, I cannot tell you apart, and I'm so sorry.
Oh man.
I just wait for you to say, like, one person's name that I know who it is.
Yeah,
and that's my life. My life right now, because everyone's wearing masks, or they should be.
They should
Shout out to people who wear masks.
be.
If you're not wearing a mask, shame on you.
And just to reference the meme, mask covers your face. If it's on your chin, that's a fucking chin strap. No one told you to wear a chin strap. No one.
I've seen people at work hang it on their ear.
God damn it.
Like it's a fucking earring.
Earring?
Yeah. It's just hanging out there like it's an earring. And I'm like, the fuck is this, like, fucking Karen? Like, don't wear it like an earring.
God damn it.
Her name's actually Sharon, so she's shitty Karen.
Oh no, she's a Sharon Karen.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh no.
But yeah, so he just looked at me and said "nerp," and I had like a 10-minute like giggle fit. And it's all in the bloopers, so you can go back to that episode and listen to me lose my collective shit.
Yeah, no, I would have left that in. I would have left that in like 1,000%. Like, no, you guys are just gonna hear these gigs for 10 minutes.
It completely derailed the entire. We had to actually like start over the reading because I could not stop laughing.
Oh man!
I thought I was muted and I wasn't, so I'm just laughing my head off, and they're all looking at me. And they're like, "Oh, she's not muted." I'm like, "Fuck, this is fine."
This is fine. We're good.
This is fine.
We're good.
Yeah. So shout out to my co-hosts because you put up with me. So thank you.
Oh, I love it.
And people who wear masks because you're keeping the world safe.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Hooray! Flattening the curve.
It does make it hard though because I rely on reading lips, and now I have no lips to read. So
oh no!
So it's me looking at people, and they say something, and I'm like, "Yep, mm-hmm."
It might work out for us. It wouldn't be like the best. It'd be like muffled lip reading. But I have one of those one of those like little like sports sleeve things I use as my mask.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just sure. I have one from that I bought like I think from like a fucking pharmacy or something, but I bought it for fishing back when I was doing that a lot more, and so I just pull it up like over my face, like it's nice, thick enough, like met the standard as I understood it. And if I'm wrong, please let me know. I don't want to put anyone at risk, but it does. It's like a little tight over my face, so you can see like the mustache part of my beard through it. And I just imagine you can like see my mouth moving when I'm saying stuff, even if it's confusing.
I appreciate that. Because everyone else is wearing their goddamn dinosaur face masks. At least that's me. I have a couple that have otters on them because of course I do. Nice. Oh yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, suddenly your timeline is gonna be full of otters, and I do not apologize at all.
Yeah, and it's just so you guys know, it's the zoo otters.
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with the other otters, but just in case you like maybe you showed up for the other otters and you're like, what the fuck, these are zoo otters. I just want to like make sure everyone knows what sort of otters they're getting into. Not that there's anything wrong with either.
Oh jeez.
I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna assume it's just because they're like river otters.
I'll explain it to you after recording.
Can you explain it to me later? Okay.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you after recording.
They're not the otters that are gonna fuck you up in nature. They're just... I don't know what you mean. I feel like you're telling me about a new kind of otter, and I really like want to know about these otters now. I'm super distracted. You're like, they're zoo otters. What is that?
No, like that's the kind of otter you're talking. I'm gonna tell you. Don't you worry. Don't you
I'm
worry.
just like, all of a sudden, I'm like, you need to tell me right now. I cannot end this call until you do.
Bagels, do you have any shout-outs?
The shout-out better fucking be, this is what a zoo otter is.
Oh, no. A zoo otter is an otter you might encounter at the zoo. So, like, an Asian otter or, like, a European otter or a North American otter. Yeah, a sea otter. Like what have you.
So not the prehistoric otter that is the size of an elephant, is what you're saying?
No, because that would, I mean, I don't know if you see that at the zoo, I want to go to it. Maybe at Jurassic Park.
You know what? That is what I'm going to call my zoo when I can resurrect dinosaurs.
It's just going to be all otters.
It's all going to be giant otters.
Just everywhere. Maybe one giant sloth for flavor.
Maybe. It's going to be mostly giant otters, though.
Mostly giant otters.
If I'm in charge, it's going to be all otters.
So we've commissioned more giant soccer balls than you could possibly imagine for these otters. So watch them as they play.
The giant soccer ball people are going to be just swimming in cash.
Oh, yeah, no, everyone laughed at them, at their business model.
Oh, yeah.
But then here came
giant soccer balls.
Here came giant otters, and they're like, see, we fucking told you.
We're fucking this. The aquarium calls it enrichment when you give them ice and let them play, and like play with them to have them learn things and be more dexterous. It's called enrichment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that. We so the otters here in DC are at the National Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And they have basically like this big can get them inside and outside like mixture of like ways they can go in like water and on land and like what have you all around the zoo. So like you can see them in different parts of the zoo as a result. So you can see them up by where like their plaque is, or you can go like down and around next to like another exhibit, and there can be like some otters off in the cut, just like, oh hey, like I'm over here too.
That's amazing.
Just when you thought you knew me, or they could be like completely inside.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun one.
Sorry, you can have your shout outs now.
Oh, all right. I mean, I kind of want to shout out to the National Zoo just because we were talking about it in the Smithsonian. It's just great things. I want to give a shout out to at the time of this recording we're between holidays, but I'll give a shout out to Canada Day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
To all our Canadian friends. That was yesterday as of this recording. Happy Canada.
Happy Canada Day. Mm-hmm.
Glorious and free.
Yeah.
No.
Canada.
Just gonna sing it now?
No. I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it.
We sang it last night on my stream, and I know 85% of the words. So.
I like
as long as
it.
you can fill in the rest, it's fine.
I like it. Orchid stands on guard for you guys. But she's.
I do live pretty close to Canada, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I have been, and it was lovely.
Oh, yeah.
It's back when I was a kid.
Canada.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to give shout outs I guess to our US friends where I am from here for the 4th coming up. Happy 4th of July, happy holiday. Everyone out there. I know times are turbulent and we got a lot that we're going through and we're trying to achieve, but that's, in my view, very large part of what it means to be a conscientious and good American. So you know what? Take pride in yourself. Take pride in your country because you're trying to make it right. And then finally, I will give a shout out to our guest and her show and the greater Lore Network and all our other partner shows, sister shows. Love you guys. Love all the great content out there. If you're ever like listening to us and we're the only one you're aware of somehow, and you're like, well, what am I gonna listen to now? Guess what? There's this whole bank of content at the Lore Network. Yeah. And they're awesome people like Orchid who've been on this show. Yeah. So you know they exist. You know it's real.
Or as we say, you can find our info at thelorenetwork.com alongside many impressive lore content creators.
Boom.
Do you like that?
I
do.
Like
that fucking drop?
I do. I'm gonna save that
I'm a
bite.
professional, guys.
I'm gonna save that bite, and just every time I want to shout out to the Lore Network, I'm just gonna put your voice in over my voice.
Oh, nice. I like that. I'll do a better one for you afterwards.
No. That one's perfect. I want it to be the sassy, like the sassy one where you come in. That's what I want.
Actually, I will say, every Wednesday, the Lore Network puts out a weekly podcast roundup that you can find all the lore podcasts on. And so watch for the Lore Network's Twitter, and they'll have a link to all of the lore podcasts that dropped that week.
Yep. We if you follow us on Twitter, we try to share it as often as we can. Just to get everyone out there, show some solidarity with our fellow pods.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, with that, that's all I got. Thank you again so much, Orchid, for being our guest and powerful Lore Network plug.
Oh yeah. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for inviting me. We had so much fun, Taylor, having you on TheBagelz. We'll have to have you on as well.
Aww.
We'll probably just have the two of you on together.
I like it.
So it could be a chaotic 6 again.
Oh man,
because you'll have all 4 of us instead of just 2 of us.
I wanna show up. Let's just have as many people trying to talk at once.
Oh jeez.
Oh,
As we
Jesus.
can possibly. No.
We record everything separately on purpose so we can mute people.
I love that. I really love that. And I do want to say, guys, like, on that episode, it actually went a lot very smooth. I was expecting a lot of like talking over people. That everyone was surprisingly good at letting people go.
They really were, yeah.
It was a great experience. But
It was a lot of fun. We'll have to do that again.
Oh,
I'm sure they're
right.
gonna have a quarterly lore review eventually.
Ooh, I like it.
But that's what Focus Fire Chat does in Lore Network.
I like it. Well, we will show up should the call be sounded.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, guys, wow, we went almost 2 hours. All right. With that, this was an amazing time. This was an amazing ride. Thank you once again to our guest, and thank you for listening. So, with that, have a great holiday weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.